Good morning, everyone watching live on BAM YouTube. Let me know in the comments where you are tuning in from. The Hot Sheet covers what you need to know about the real estate industry in a 24-hour time period. On today's Hot Sheet, I will discuss mortgage delinquency rates, declines in New York City office values, and inflation. Some new news just came out today on that. Today is Friday, May 26, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Thank you for finishing the week strong with me here on the Hot Sheet, the only live housing show on the internet every single Monday through Friday when the markets are open. So that leads me to this coming Monday. Happy Memorial Day weekend. We will not be live for the Hot Sheet on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week for a full Tuesday through Friday show. But if the markets are not open, the Hot Sheet is not open. So enjoy your 3-day weekend. Hope everybody in the comments has something fun planned for this weekend. Hit the thumbs up and also hit the link down below for BAMX if you haven't done so already. If you like the Hot Sheet, trust me, you will like what's going on there. We have a private Facebook group where we're sharing things that we're sharing nowhere else on the internet. We have monthly BAM courses from our internal team, as well as monthly live streams. And every single month, we'll be adding more and more content to BAMX. So make sure you subscribe there below. There's a code Hot Sheet where you get 15% off the annual subscription. So 15% off if you use the code Hot Sheet. All right, let's get into mortgage delinquency and all of those people that have been rooting for this epic real estate collapse. And we're going to see 20% declines, 40% declines in home prices. Foreclosures are going to go up. They yet again have to wait for that day to come, and I don't think it's coming anytime soon. CoreLogic just released yesterday their latest mortgage trends. The overall U.S. mortgage delinquency rate dropped to an all-time low, all-time, never lower than this number of 2.6% in March. CoreLogic's just released Loan Performance Insight Report has details on all of the latest mortgage trends. We're going to dive into that, and I've got slides for you to download today in the daily download link below. All of our slides are absolutely free. Do it once, you get them every single day. These slides should help you combat that home shopper or that home shopper who's just getting bad advice from somebody in their family or a friend who tells them, oh, well, but just look at what happened in 2008. All these foreclosures came, all these mortgage delinquencies, they're about to hit. It's all about to happen. The mortgage is not going to happen. Okay. The U.S. mortgage delinquency rate fell to this all-time low. Here's the first chart with the details down below. The U.S. mortgage delinquency rate fell to a historic low in March, reflecting the lowest U.S. unemployment rate in more than 50 years. While a slowing economy could cause increases in job losses and mortgage delinquencies, years of home equity gains will provide borrowers who fall behind on their payments with a cushion. This equity should protect many homeowners from foreclosure. There is no current projection that the U.S. foreclosure rate will reach the same level as it did during the housing crisis more than a year ago. There's absolutely nobody would project that looking at the numbers, looking at the data. 42% of single-family homes across America are cash owned. They're not going to go delinquent. Who would give up all of that equity? You don't owe anything to the bank, right? And then we know how many homeowners have a near 3% or under mortgage rate. So this cushion that they're talking about, this has been happening not only for the last 10 years, but for the last 40 years. I've shared this chart before. I'm putting it in today's daily download once again as a little gift for anybody who's missed it. This is the home price growth by months into the decade. Okay, so you can see in every single decade, even during the 2000s with the GFC, that homeowners get either 30 or 40 or near 50% home price growth on their single family asset. 1990s was over 30%. The 2020s right now is up near 40%. 2010s up over 45%. And the 2000s up over 48%. So for a homeowner who's concerned about buying right now, well, are foreclosures coming? Whether it comes off of 2.6%, which is the lowest all-time rate right now, and goes up or not, because if the Fed wants the unemployment, the employment market to break, maybe you do see delinquencies go up a little bit. Usually do when unemployment goes up. Regardless of what happens, this, I can tell you, will happen if you own the home for 10 years. You are going to have probably the best financial asset you've ever owned in your life. You're going to be 44 times more wealthy than the renter. And you're going to be able to use that. You can't hide from the rain in a stock. You can't sleep and raise your family inside of a stock. You can do that with the utility of the home. This will be the best asset that you ever own. You'll get the most enjoyment, fulfillment, and you'll be paying your mortgage instead of somebody else's. But that's not all on the data for these delinquencies. Jody from OKC, what will collapse will be the commercial buildings. And we're going to get into two big reports on commercial buildings next, Jody. So thanks for the comment. That's a good segue, but in just a second, let's get through the delinquency here. 30 days or more delinquent nationally. Here's another great chart for anybody who is confused on, I'm sorry, hold on there. There we go. Let me go back to the chart. Just gonna, not working for me there. All right, go back to the chart. I'll put myself in the bottom right corner. I'll just move this up. This one breaks it down from March 2023 to March 2022. The numbers are not getting worse. They're getting better. You would think in March 2022, when we had lower interest rates, when we had a market that was even more white hot than it is today, that we'd actually see delinquencies going up. But no, they're going down. 30 days or more past due, we're at 2.6% today, as opposed to 2.9% a year ago. Okay. 30 to 59 days past due, it's 1.1% to 1.1%. We're even. 60 to 89 days past due, it's 0.3%. 0.3% of mortgages. That's it. So we're flat there. 90 to 119 days past due, we're better than where we were last year. It's 0.3% last year and 0.2% this year. It's near nothing for 90 days to 120 days past due. 120 plus days past due, we were at 1.2% a year ago. We're now under 1% today. Homes that are actually in foreclosure, you've got 0.3% last year and 0.3%. That is an absolutely low number. This is an all-time low number for the 30-day trend as well as the foreclosure trend. Okay, CoreLogic also examines all stages of delinquency as well as transition rates that indicate the percentage of mortgages moving from one stage to the next. So we just went through the stages. They're also looking at, okay, how many people are about to move to a new stage? The share of mortgages that transition from the current 30 days past due was 0.5%. That's unchanged from last year. Okay, so 0.5% from that transition from the current to 30 days past. From 30 days to 60 days, it was 13.7%, down to 12.5%. These numbers also getting better. 60 days to 90 days, it was 36%. Now it is 28.7%. So right now, in a high interest rate environment, homeowners with a mortgage are actually trending better than 1 year ago when rates were lower. Let me say that again. They're trending better. The mortgage homeowner has a better situation today in a higher mortgage interest rate than they did last year. And they still have the equity if something were to happen to their job. New delinquent balances by loan type. I've shared this one in the past. This shows you that mortgage in the blue is near the all-time low with HELOC and student loan. The delinquencies to watch out for are auto and credit card. Okay. This one here reflects how the mortgage delinquency rate does follow unemployment. So if we want to watch delinquencies, let's watch employment. Okay. Employment will tell us if delinquencies go up. You can go back to, really the 2000s, and this line is stuck to each other with the employment line. Right now we're at April was an all-time low, 50-year low anyways, for unemployment at 3.4. These numbers here are a little bit high. We know that we're at a lower number on the delinquency than this is showing, as well as unemployment. So this is a few months outdated, but you get the picture just looking back from 1979 to today. You get the picture that the last 23 years have been pretty consistent, that these lines, really since 1997, 1998, so last 25 years, the unemployment and the mortgage delinquency rate follow each other really side by side. Well, but now what if the home shopper says, well, yeah, but I'm buying at the peak. I don't want to buy at the peak. Even if delinquencies don't shoot up and I can't get a foreclosure, aren't I going to get a better deal in the future? Well, not necessarily. The number of months that have passed since the U.S. home prices set an all-time high, we're now 7 or 8 months, 7, 8, 9 months past the last all-time high. If you look at in the 1990s, when we peaked at an all-time high in May of 1990, it took 37 months for the next peak to happen. It was July 1993. We're not going to set a new peak this year. So we're talking about months, maybe even years, maybe into 2025, if it follows that trend, where the next peak of prices is going to happen. So buying today is buying under the next peak. We haven't seen the next peak. You can see how long it was during the GFC. I don't anticipate it to be that long, but we haven't had our next peak, which means no matter what, if you're buying today, you're buying at that lower than the next peak. And if you hold it for 10 years, again, look at what happens to homeowners. You will be in the catbird seat, as they say, doing quite well with the equity in your home. Delinquencies, for everybody rooting against the housing market, I am sorry to tell you, they do not exist. They do not exist in a big number. And the trend is that they are continuing to get better. Even in the highest states with delinquencies, they're all trending down. Mississippi has the highest overall currently at 4.9. That came down in the last month, 0.4%. Louisiana at 4.8 came down. New York at 3.7 came down 0.8, the most of any of these on the list. West Virginia came down 0.5%. Alabama and Oklahoma also coming down 0.5%. The trend here is obvious. Mortgage delinquencies are getting better, not worse. Anyone that tells you different, make sure you have these charts available and ready for them. It would take a long time. It would take a really broken job market for these numbers to go into the opposite direction. Okay. Jody, you hit the nail on the head with our next topic. Where we're going to see delinquencies is likely in commercial office building. Fortune reported this week the 500 billion office real estate apocalypse. This is from a report from researchers. Find remote work's effect is even worse than it's expected. Okay, so there was a paper published last year. Researchers from New York University and Columbia University estimated that a 28% decline in New York City office values by 2009, a 28% decline for New York City, the Mecca, for office values by 2029. That'd be a total of 49 billion lost. And in their model, that equates to a 500 billion value destruction nationwide. Okay, so the trend would not just be, set in New York City. That'd be everywhere. The researchers revised their estimate this month. And so their latest version of the paper has a new number. They now see a 44% decline in New York City office values by 2029. A nationwide value destruction, as they put it, of 506 billion in just a 3-year period from 2019 to 2022. That's already happened. Okay, a 44% decline in New York City values by 2029 is basically cutting all New York City office buildings in half. Okay, what would that have an impact on these major downtown city metros residentially? Love to know your opinion. Do you see something similar happening in your city? In a study, lease level data for more than 100 office markets in the U.S., the authors found an 18.1% decrease in lease revenue from December 19 to December 2020. That was just months following the start of the pandemic. Obviously, as remote work, in-home work continues to be more of the norm in many companies, this number is only expected to grow. We calculate a reduction in value of the office stock between the end of 2019 and 2020 of $69.6 billion for New York City, $32.7 billion for San Francisco, and $5.1 billion for Charlotte. For the remaining office markets, we combine market-specific lease revenue declines with valuation ratio declines for New York City to compute the value decline. Nationwide, we find the $506 billion during the 3-year period. Okay, now Bloomberg also launched a little bit. Commercials already crashed in San Francisco, and I have seen reports that they don't expect numbers to come back for a decade in San Francisco, if they come back at all. It's going to take a reimagining potentially of downtown San Francisco. Bloomberg reported this week, downtown LA's office distress shows the pain coming for cities. Okay, check out this interactive piece here by Bloomberg. There it is, downtown LA in the backdrop. From a distance, downtown Los Angeles can look like the Wizard of Oz's Emerald City, a shimmering skyline with the Hollywood Hills and San Gabriel Mountains forming a picturesque backdrop. Up close, its buildings tell a bleak story of the turmoil rolling U.S. housing U.S. commercial real estate. Okay. Brookfield Corp, downtown LA's biggest office landlord, defaulted in a $1.1 billion of loans on 3 buildings. Here are the 3 buildings. The EY Tower at $305 million in debt, the Gas Company Tower, $465 million in debt, and 777 Tower, $289 million in debt. They're no longer trying to keep the properties. Okay. Now we look at Aon Center, LA's 3rd tallest tower, has been for sale since February at an asking price below its 2014 value of $270 million. No buyers have emerged. Telling signal there. The Union Bank Plaza sold in March for $104 million, half of its 2010 price. Okay, so there you go. That's an indicator that that research paper for New York City could be right when they're projecting 44% declines in value by 2029. By the way, these buildings don't get any cheaper to maintain or to build or to fix up in the future. They only get more expensive to do that. Brookfield, Wells Fargo, North and South Towers have $736 million in debt maturing this year alone. Okay, we know how many trillions are coming in the next couple of years. U.S. Bank Tower is 20% vacant after Silverstein Properties spent $490 million to buy and renovate. 20% vacant after they dumped a bunch of money into that. Okay, so America's 2nd largest city is on the forefront of this mounting property distress. And with downtown LA's office vacancy rate at a record 30%, buildings have plunged in value as workers stay away from the urban core of a sprawling car-centric region. I'd love to know in the comments, are you currently working in an office, out of an office? Are you in a rural or downtown city environment? If you're in a downtown city environment, in office or out of office right now, which do you prefer? Which do you expect yourself to be doing into the future? Mark Davison, obviously Mark, 1000-watt founder, the best branding agency in all of real estate. He's got a lot of experience living in a downtown area like Portland. Mark says, based on what I see living in the city, seems like 90 to 5% of the office, 90 to 95% of the office space is empty. So the vacancy rate that we're talking about, like in downtown LA, is at a record 30%. But what Mark's saying is being in the city, walking around and just doing the old eyeball test, just walking through the lobby. Yeah, the vacancy rate might be 30%. So maybe 70% of these leases are still intact. Maybe they're following through with their commitment of the lease. But what Mark's saying is, per the eyeball test, just being in the city, boots on the ground, that they're far more empty than the vacancy rates would suggest. That the utilization of this asset isn't there. Cody, we're selling 8 to 12 homes right now from home. So we're selling 8 to 12 homes right now from home. Home office is just faster and more productive for many. Cody is in the working from home camp. And listen, I'm on probably both sides of this, where I do think, BAM is a fully remote media company, right? I think there'd be an advantage if we were all in an office together for speed of communication at times. We do an all hands meeting every single day at BAM. It's a Zoom thing. And it's 15 minutes. So everybody can hear what everybody's doing. Everybody knows what everybody's doing, just to like have that, like what you would know in an office environment where you could see, oh, look at the graphic teams working on that over there. Oh, look at what the video editors are working on right over there. We want everyone to know what everybody's working on, just so our language gets more crystal clear in our communication in Slack and other places. I do think if we were all together, we could move a little bit faster. Do I think we'd have the talent that we have right now if we were saying, hey, everybody move to LA where Eric's located, move to Naples, Florida, where I'm located, move to Connecticut, where our senior editor, Vanessa, or move to Rhode Island, where our creative director, Jill, lives? No, or let's all move to Minnesota with our great writer, Sarah. I don't think we would be able to retain the talent if we were, if we were making that type of a mandate where we all need to be in the same city. Cities facing a growing glut of empty buildings. So this is, right in line with Mark's comment here. You can see start of the pandemic, Houston would be up per this number. LA, everybody's up basically since that gray check mark going down is the start of the pandemic. So Houston's up, LA's up, Atlanta's up, Chicago's up, San Francisco way up. Look at the line there for San Francisco, just skyrocketing and showing no signs so far of flattening out. DC's up a little bit. DC probably the lowest increase on the list here, it looks like. Seattle's pretty upward trajectory there. Philadelphia's up, Manhattan up, and Boston is up. So there you go. Basically every major city, certainly every major city on this list, has a growing glut of empty buildings. Seville's report of all Manhattan, DC, and San Francisco as central business districts. That is the source, Seville's. That's down below for you in the daily download as well as the links to all of our sources and articles that we use every single day. That comes to your inbox absolutely free with one click down below. Inflation did click up one more percentage point than expected. Inflation actually rose 0.4% in April and 4.7% from 1 year ago, according to a key gauge for the Fed. Okay, so inflation stayed stubbornly high in April, potentially reinforcing the changes that interest rates could stay higher for longer. We talked about this yesterday. If you want a full kind of update on inflation and the Fed's comments towards housing, go check out the replay of yesterday's hot sheet or wherever you listen to podcasts. So here's the goods and services adjust for changes in consumer behavior. The personal consumption expenditure price index rose 0.4%. It's higher than the 0.3%. Now, if you look deeper past this just CNBC article and you look at kind of like take Costco's recent earnings report, they are talking about inflation dropping quickly from what they're seeing on the products. And so this is personal consumption. It went up according to this lagging data that the Fed follows. But according to real time, just consumers, Costco's saying it's coming down and it's coming down quickly. Okay. Products like eggs certainly have just dropped from that, that extreme high has dropped on a sharp decline. On an annual basis, the gauge decreased 4.7%, 0.1 percentage point higher than expected as well, but it was, down from where we were prior, including food and energy. Headline PCE also rose 0.4%, was up 4.4% from a year ago, higher than the 4.2% of March. So the lagging data showing that inflation is still a little bit sticky. We'll see what the Fed does. There's been a lot of other good signals, but it's not coming down. It's not coming down as quickly as it went up. I guess you could certainly say that, and we still have a longer way to go. So that's your update. That just came out this morning, and we'll see what the Fed does in June, later in June. So June 12th and 13th, I believe, are the dates we'll be talking about their decision that week. Certainly the 10-year is not very pleased with current market conditions right now. The 10-year is up to 3.834. Just a brutal week for the 10-year. We'll be sitting above 7% going into the holiday weekend. So home shoppers shopping this weekend are going to be dealing with a near high mark in the last year, really since in decades here for the 30-year fixed. We ended the day yesterday at 7.12. Our high mark last year was 7.37. Okay, so we've set a new mark for this year of 2023. This number looks like it's going to go up today. Maybe, Joe, just maybe, in the next hour, they could announce a debt deal, and I would expect the 10-year to go down if we get an announcement of the debt deal. But who the heck knows what's going to happen? It's just what I would expect to happen if that were to be announced. You got to think these people in Congress want to do a deal before Memorial Day weekend. Come on, wouldn't that be the American thing to do? Make a deal happen, Congress. Let's go. They like those long holidays. I know it's like they're like my daughter's last day of kindergarten is today. Sometimes it's like they're kindergartners. They go on recess for like ever, right? Congress is like, hey, Congress on recess. They're coming back in like 6 weeks. I don't know. Maybe they have a recess coming up. Get the debt deal done so the rest of us can move on with our lives. If you want to move on with some more information on what we've shared in the hot sheet this week, digging deeper and also recapping our conversation and our reactions to our conversations with George Ratu, the chief economist of Keeping Current Matters, former Realtor.com chief economist, make sure you tune into today's Knowledge Brokers podcast with myself, Tom Toole, and Lisa Chinati. That'll be up on @Knowledge Brokers podcast channel at 2 p.m. Eastern time later today. Hope everybody enjoys Memorial Day weekend. Remember, you've got the hot sheet code for BAMX down below, gets you 15% off the annual. We're going to be uploading more and more content in there every single month, as well as our private Facebook group. And just really hope you have a great weekend. And until Tuesday, because we are off Monday on the hot sheet, enjoy and toodaloo.